Hello and welcome, this is Jeanette Comerford, and this is day 9 of my Christmas series for 2018. Today's project features a 2-page layout that I created for my December daily album. Now what makes this super special is the interactive component that I added, where you can pull the little tab and the little Santa Claus will peek out from behind the tree. So it was a lot of fun to make. It was also inspired by a layout that I created last year for my December daily album, which is this one here, and I'm going to link it for you in case you want to go look at that video, because that was a fun project as well. Now, I am not going to be doing the full coloration on my video because it would become way too long, but here's the list of all the marker numbers that I used. It'll be here. I'm also going to add it to the very end of the video, and it will also be on my blog post for the day that this video is posted. So there's all those places where you can look to see the numbers. I will show you, however, how I colored up the Christmas tree, because I feel like it was something a little bit different than what I normally do, and I wanted to share with you how I did it. So the first thing I did is I took that lightest marker color and I sort of based the whole color, the whole tree rather, in that color. Now I'm taking a little bit of a darker marker and I am going underneath the branches of each section, and I'm drawing some little lines. Now they're not all the same length. I'm not being particularly careful about exactly where they're placed. I just want to sort of draw some lines to mimic the little pine needles in a tree. So I'm going to do that. Now you can wait a little while between each of these steps so that the marker colors do not blend one into the other. So now you can see I've taken a darker marker and I'm continuing adding the lines in. Be really careful that where those little the little edges, that you fill those up really nicely, so that will really give the tree a nice full look. Also, when I was choosing the marker colors, I purposely chose some that were true greens, some that were yellow greens, some that had more gray in the color tone, and that way I feel like you are creating a more realistic looking tree. So if you don't have these exact Copic marker numbers that I do, feel free to substitute what you do own. Now for the very last step, I took a lighter green marker and I just sort of colored the little tips of the tree just to blend them a little bit so that there were no overly harsh lines. Next, I'm going to work on the ornaments, and these colors will be sort of echoed throughout the other images. I basically used the same markers, the red markers to color all the reds, the same blue markers to color all the blues, and that way it sort of keeps the scene a little bit more cohesive. So what I did was I stamped this image twice. Now, although you see the Santa is colored here, I actually ended up cutting him away when I decided I was going to add the slider mechanism. So the first time I stamped it, I colored it. This is what you're seeing here. I cut away the Santa Claus. I just cut around the tree. Then I stamped it a second time, and for that one I colored the Santa, and then I cut around the Santa, and I kept a small portion of the tree. You'll see in a little bit how much I kept, and that's just for the slider mechanism to have something to attach to. Now I used Whimsy Stamps kinetic dies for the sliding action, and I'll have those linked below. So you can see that all my images here are colored. There's that tree all cut, and there's the stamp that I used. I'm just showing you how I cut away the Santa. And there's the second part where I just have a bit of the tree, and I did color the tree just in case part of it peeks through. You don't want it to be white. I have a 6x8 page here. And then this really pretty sort of garland and star paper. I cut a mat for that. The mat measures 5x7, and then the pattern paper measures 1/4 inch smaller on each edge. You do need a couple of layers for the sliding mechanism to be hidden. So I'm just going to adhere those two together, making sure to line everything up. So I also have a piece of pattern paper that is sort of wood grain, and that is going to be my floor. And I'm just going to decide about where I'm going to have the Christmas tree and where the floor is going to be. Make sure that looks nice. Now, for the components that you need to cut out, this one here you're going to cut out of some acetate, so the one with the holes. The one that has sort of the grooves, you're going to cut out of cardstock. I cut out 4 of these discs. I only actually needed 2 of them. And this is the die that is going to actually cut away a place for the slider to slide. So you need to decide where you want that to be, where you're going to cut, and you want it to be hidden. So I made sure that the floor was going to cover that up. I'm going to cut that out. Then I have one of the discs that I cut out of cardstock. I'm going to place that underneath. I then took a foam dot and placed that right in the center. Next is going to be that cardstock. This is what I'm going to attach the image to. I've already folded it. And then you're going to put that acetate tab. That's what you're going to pull. I put another foam dot, and you can see how it's all attached and sliding. Now I'm going to put a glue dot and attach the tab to the circle, and I'll be able now to attach the image to that part. I'm going to cover it up with the floor now. Make sure that you add some foam adhesive. You need a little bit of space there. So I'm just making sure that where I'm putting the foam, that the slider will still slide back and forth. And I will cover the rest of the pattern paper with the foam, and then I can place it down. Then I placed another piece of the pattern paper with foam, and that serves to create the top part of the track. So the slider has a little track that it can slide against. Then I'm going to put my tree about where it's going to be. Just decide where I want to put it. And then I will attach the image right on to the little tab. So I'm putting him where I want him to be on the tree, sliding the tab to where he is, and then pressing down. I then popped up the paper and put a little foam dot so that the tab wouldn't slide any further. So you saw a little sign there, or I said foam dot. That's where I put the foam dot. And then I put another one, or a piece of foam, on the other side, so that the tab has a stopping place. It won't slide all the way. I don't want the Santa to slide all the way out. So this is something that for each project you're going to have to sort of fiddle with it a little bit to make sure that everything is in the right place. And then I decided it was sliding a little bit too much, even though I had the foam on the side there. So what I did is I just took a little piece of Post-it tape. You're going to see in a minute. I flipped it over and put a little piece of Post-it tape right there so that the slider couldn't slide any more to the side. And then I was really happy. So I have little stoppers on each side of the tracks, and that way the image stays right behind that tree. When you pull it, it will go behind the tree and not too beyond it, if that makes any sense. So now the fun part, for me anyhow, is finally seeing all the little components come together, because the little girl part of her is going to be on the wall. I put some foam tape on her head and then put some glue on the rest of her Just making sure that the tree branches are all glued down where they need to be. I'm going to put her little brother here. And I think they're so cute that they're so occupied with the presents and the stockings and what's going on that they don't really realize Santa is behind the tree there. I thought it was kind of cute, this paper that I used. I could use it as, it looks like garland, so I could just put the little stockings there. They look like they're hung on the wall. I was really lucky I had another piece of this paper. I'd used this for last year's project and loved it so much, and found another piece in my stash. Unfortunately, I think this is from a December daily kit, so I don't think you're going to be able to find the exact paper that I used, but the beauty of, I think, these albums and these pages is that you can use what's in your stash. I'm sure you're going to find something you're going to be able to use. So just trying to decide where I want the present. I am putting the present and the cookies and the milk sort of in that lower corner just to fill it in a little bit so that it doesn't look too bare. And I did foam mount 2 of the presents here, and then this last one I didn't, so that again adds a little bit more interest. I'm going to tuck him in underneath and make sure that the Santa can still move back and forth. Now, I created an album page, but you could certainly, I think, create a card. Maybe not use as many components, but you could create this as a card as well. Now I'm going to do some embellishments. Again, I am pulling out of my December daily past album kits. I have so much stuff left over, so that's what I'm using. These were in a past kit. They're sort of plastic, I guess, but again, you could die cut some words. I know Whimsy has a beautiful Christmas word die. You could cut that several times and glue it together to give it some dimension, and it would look very similar. I found these little stars, so I'm going to put one on top of the tree. To hide, I have like a little foam dot on the tip of the tree to hold it down on the page, so this little star was perfect to cover it. And then I found these baubles or these enamel dots, and they were very similar in color to the ornaments on my tree, so I decided to scatter them around as well. I feel like this must have been a room that these two decorated, because there's a lot going on. I remember when my sister and I would decorate our basement downstairs, we'd put a lot of stuff on. I am adding just some little enamel dots to the pull. Because it's clear acetate, I want it to be evident that it's something that you can pull. So I put a dot there, and then I'm trimming around it on the acetate. And now I'm going to mount this to the page. And again, I'm going to be using some foam adhesive. This way there's a little bit of space, and that sliding mechanism is free to move. I am taking one of the page protectors from my December daily pages and using that as a guide to cut out the holes in my papers. And I'm cutting out the paper that's going to be lying on top of this as well. So you can see how that all looks. So that part of the project is done. Now I'm going to create the top page, and I wanted to create sort of windows so that you could sort of see, you could peek in and look at the scene. So those were, I think, memory dies, I think. Anyways, I'll link them on the bottom, and I'll find some similar ones if they are not available anymore. I cut 2 of them and glued them together. You can see I sort of trimmed a little portion of it so that it doesn't overlap too much. Now I'm deciding where I want the windows to be. So you can see I used the grid lines on my Tim Holtz glass mat here to line everything up. And then I'm adding my second page here and drawing the lines. And then to be super duper sure, I'm using those lines as a guide. I'm going to put the window onto this page and then just draw exactly where it will be on the page so that I make sure that I don't cut into that area. And then I'm just using this cutter. This is a great cutter because you can position the blade exactly where you want it to be by using the grid lines, and I'm cutting out the opening. So I hope that makes sense. I'm very visual, so I like to do it by eye. I like to mark all my markings and then double check and then cut again. That way I don't make a mistake. So you can see what that's going to look like. I am going to cut a second piece. I realized I needed to cut a second piece because I don't want it to look unfinished on the other side. And I'm going to do the same thing. I drew the opening and I'm just cutting it out. I'm going to erase those lines that I put earlier. Although most of them will be covered by the window dies, I decided to be safe and just erase everything off. And now I can adhere these two pages together. And it ended up being easier to do it this way, for whatever reason. And now those windows can go over top. And then I will die cut another set that's going to go on the other side. And that's going to give it a more finished look. So you can see how the windows just sit on top there. And then I die cut another set. And I'm going to align them all up so that you can't see any edges. And then again, I pulled out some more stuff from my stash. But again, I'm sure you have similar things that you can use. Just use what you have. I find that that makes the page so much more fun. I had a window box die that matches the window set. So I decided I was going to add that on the bottom just to give the page a little bit more of a balanced look. So you can see I die cut them out of cardstock and added them on with some foam. And I am going to switch this up in a little bit, but you'll see when we get there what I did. So I added these, and then I wanted to embellish the window a little bit. I found some glitter tape here. I lined that up along the bottom edge of the window. And I had some pom-poms, and I thought they would look really cute along the top of the window, a little bit maybe like Christmas lights. So I added these to the top, just trimmed everything, and then it just didn't look right to me. So what I did is I pulled that silver strip up. I die cut the window boxes out of that same wood grain pattern paper and added that, and then I added the strip to the top of the window. I thought that looked a little bit better. I liked how that looked better. Just going to add some glitter drops to the ornaments, and my page will be complete. So thank you so much for watching. I hope this has inspired you to create something similar, either a greeting card or something for your album. It was so much fun to make, and I just can't stop sliding this little Santa back and forth. It's so much fun. So I will have all the links to all the products listed below this video. You can also check it out on my blog. Please subscribe, hit that like button if you like this video, if you like this type of Christmas video. I really like to have your feedback. Here again is the listing of all the Copic marker numbers. And here are other Christmas videos I've created. I thought maybe you'd like to check those out. Thanks so much for joining me, and check back soon for a new video.